Hello everyone, this is Mary Gregory with MAS Coding Solution. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Coder educational series. Today our topic is going to be part 2, OB coding for certification. Whether you're taking your CCS or your CPC or your HCC or any coding certification, you will need to know how to code OB codes. And the type of certification that you're taking will not change the rules and guidelines. They are for everyone. So we're going to be talking about part 2. Now in part 1, we talked about knowing your book. You have to know it's in chapter 15, know your coding guideline, and to know the cardinal rule in dealing with OB coding. First of all, those chapter 15 codes take priority over any other codes. That means if your patient is pregnant, those codes have to go first. The cardinal rule is you, the coder, will always assume that that condition is complicating the pregnancy, or the pregnancy is complicating the condition. It is the physician's responsibility to say that they are not related. So in part 2, I want to talk to you about, in part 2, your trimester coding. And in OB coding, you will have trimesters. It's your responsibility as much as possible to try to find out the trimester. Now, what's going to happen is your physician don't necessarily talk in trimester. They may not say this is the first trimester, or this is the second trimester. They may actually tell you the number of weeks that your patient is at. So, and you don't have to panic about that. You may say, well, oh my gosh, I may not be able to remember those weeks. It's in your book in chapter 15. At the beginning of the chapter, it has the trimesters for you. First week, second week, and third week. The third week trimester is when delivery occurs, okay? In your ICD-10-CM book, you sometimes will have a code that says in childbirth. That means that is a delivery code. So if the patient delivered the baby, you want to select that code as the code. If it does not have a in childbirth option, then you have to code the third trimester unless the physician document that is a premature delivery and maybe they had the delivery within the second trimester. So pay attention to that type of documentation as to what's going on. Some conditions only occurs in certain trimesters. Therefore, with diabetes, especially gestational diabetes, gestational diabetes is diagnosed in the second or third trimester. It is not diagnosed in the first trimester. Now, you may have somebody out there that can disagree with that. I'm just telling you what the book says. I'm just telling you what the rules are, okay? So when you go to gestational diabetes coding, because remember, gestational diabetes means that the patient has diabetes because they are pregnant. And you have a very specific code for gestational diabetes. And when the physician documents gestational diabetes, you want to code it to gestational. You may have, so I'm not going to talk real world, I'm just going to talk certification, okay? So when you're taking your test, they're not going to give you these real complicated scenarios. You're not going to get the complicated cases that you would see in your real world of coding. So we're going to talk certification, and we're going to talk about test taking. And so they're going to give you a gestational diabetic, and it's your responsibility to know what code to use. Gestational diabetes only occur in second or third quarter. Therefore, you will not have an option for a first trimester. And I said quarter, I meant second or third trimester. So that is your trimester. we should not have an unspecified trimester code, but there may be times when you will, especially if you're doing ED coding. ED physicians are not the world best at telling us what trimester that they're in, and sometimes the patient is so early pregnant that I think we got a trimester for 8 weeks, so we got a code for trimester 8 weeks or less. Now, a secret here is this: when you're doing ED coding and you don't know the trimester, sometimes they will give them a radiology test, to check, and sometimes that radiologist will give you more information about the trimester. So look there before you make your final selection. Then the other thing that you got to be aware of when you're doing your test taking, when you're doing your certification test taking, is in ICD-10, you have some codes, and I'm going to try to find one quickly for you and give you an example, and you can go back later on and you can actually look at this example. If you will go to, in your book, now I'm just pulling one out. There's more, of course there can be more. If you look at 035, if you look at that category 035, it says maternal care for known or suspected fetal abnormalities and damage. Underneath that, you have, in my book is highlighted in this color, you have these seventh character. Now, anytime a code need a seventh character, you're going to have a seventh character. It's not an option not to have one. You got to have it, okay? So, under this code 035, let's just take 035-0 for example. Maternal care for suspected central nervous system malformation in a fetus. So they are saying that the woman is pregnant, the baby is suspected as having some type of a malformation, either in the brain or the spinal cord, because your nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay? Now, that is a 4-digit code. As you can see, the category. Then if you move down, so 035-0 is 4 digits. Where 035, none of those codes in 035 can be a 4-digit, a 5-digit, or 6. It has to be 7. So what you're going to do is, and it's only one baby. It's just one baby. Okay? So now look, you got 0 equal not applicable or unspecified. You got 1 for fetus 1. You got 2 for fetus 2. You got 3 for fetus 3. You got 4 for fetus 4. And 5 for fetus 5. And if somebody got more than 5 babies in them, then you got a 9 or whatever. Now, the 1 through 9 can only be used if the woman is having twins, triplets, quadruplets. If it's just one baby, use 0. See, a lot of times we think that if it's just one baby, we're supposed to use a 1. No, you can only use 1 if it's more than one baby. Okay? So don't miss that question on your test. So if that lady is pregnant and got one baby, and they suspect that this baby has some type of problem going on with the central nervous system, my code would be 0350, and that's a 4-digit. So I'm going to need an X for 5, an X for 6, and my 7th character is going to be a 0. That is how that works, people. So I just wanted to show you that. Now, the other thing that you have to be aware of, just in case they put this on your certification test, your OB doctor generally do not say fetus 1, fetus 2, fetus 3, fetus 4. They say fetus A, fetus B, fetus C, fetus D. That's what they say. So, in the real world, and on this test, on the certification test, they try to make it really easy, so they may use the term 1 when a woman has twins, and they may use the term 2 when the woman has twins. But you may also see on that certification test where they say twin A and twin B. And you got to say A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 2. So let's say that your physician say twin A has a central nervous system disorder. Twin B is totally normal. So twin A has it. So this is how this would look. You have O350, and then you're going to have XX, and you're going to have 1 for twin A having that problem. See? That is how that works. And so you want to make sure you understand how to do your fetus when you are in this category. Now, not every OB code have this. These are very specific ones. And when they have that 7th character, and you have to add it, you have to know what to do. So make sure you read. They give you the instruction. In that, it said one of the following 7 characters to be assigned to each code under category 035, O35, and 7th character O is a 0, 7th character 0 is for your single gestation and multiple gestation where the fetus is unspecified. They said, look, if you got twins, but they don't tell you which one got the problem, guess what? You're going to use the O. You know what, people? And I'm getting ready to wrap this up, and I probably shouldn't say this, but you know, I think that is so confusing. Did they have to make this confusing? Come on. But anyway, that's it for today. That's part 2, OB. And what I'm doing is now, I'm not going through every OB guideline. That's your responsibility. I am going through the ones that actually you probably going to see on the test. Okay? So they want to know if you know what to do with these OB codes. And remember, when the woman is pregnant, the OB code from chapter 15 go first. And also, and I kind of try to keep remembering to say this, remember to read your OB code, okay? And look at the description of the code. If the description of the code tells you everything you need to know, then you don't need an additional code. But if it does not, you will need an additional code. For example, if your patient came in and they was HIV positive or had some kind of AIDS-related condition, you would have the code for, I think it's a viral infection. You're going to have your OB code for the viral infection. Well, see, that code just said viral infection. It doesn't tell you what kind of infection. And so you would need the B20, which is the AIDS code, or the Z21, if they just positive but never had AIDS or don't have any AIDS-related condition. So kind of remember that. We'll talk about a little bit more of that in the future. So this is Mary Gregory signing off for today for the Critical Thinking Coder. And look, follow me on Facebook and what else? LinkedIn and Instagram and www.mascodingsolutions.com. I'm just so excited what 2022 gonna bring. We are shooting for the moon here, the coding moon. You know, they want to know if life is on the moon. Guess what? If they need a coder, hey, we're gonna be there. Okay. So have a great holiday, and I'll talk to you guys later.